When was the last time that you went to a wedding? Weddings are fun. Weddings remind us of spring. And weddings are kind of a symbol of new beginnings. And Jesus also began his ministry at a wedding, and he can begin new things in us, in the same way that he did at the wedding. So this story in the book of John is one of the early stories. I hope that you have had the time to go back and look at the overview of the book of John. And as you see those stories rolling by, the yellow stories are the first stories that we learned. They're the easier stories, and we can learn to gain insights and learn how to learn stories by doing these stories. And so we're going to learn together, and this is the first one. So if you will listen to the story that I have to tell, and then I'll give you some tips on how to learn stories. This is the story of Jesus at the wedding. Now there was a wedding in Cana in Galilee, and Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus was also there along with all his disciples. Now when the wine ran out, Jesus' mother came to him and said, "The wine is out." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why does this concern me? My time has not yet come." But Jesus' mother went and told the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." So there were 6 stone water jars there, and each one was about 20 gallons. They were meant for the Jewish ritual of purification. And Jesus said to the servants, "Go and fill these to the brim with water." Now when they did this, he said, "Go and take these now to the master of the feast." And when the master of the feast tasted the water, which had by now become wine, he called the groomsmen and he called the other guests, and he said, "Everybody always serves the good wine first, and then they leave the other wine to the end when people have had their fill. But you have kept the good wine to the end." Now all of this first miracle Jesus performed in Cana in Galilee, and he manifested his glory, and his disciples witnessed this and believed in him. That was the first story. And now I want to tell you a tip or two about how to learn these stories. First of all, I went out and got this little booklet. This is a very typical little contained Gospel of John. And as you see, flipping through, I've highlighted the stories that we're doing in yellow, so that'll have a kind of a base copy, and I'll know exactly where these stories fit in the big picture. You might also want to write out some notes like I did. I wrote some notes. I wrote the story itself in a way that I could easily read it and understand it. So with this little book or with these notes, this is the way that you can learn a story very quickly. Find a room or a quiet place where you're not going to bother anyone and where you can speak out loud. And take the story and read it through from top to bottom clearly, and read it as if you were performing this story to others. And do it out loud. And go through the entire story. Don't just do the part you know. And then when you're finished, put that book or that paper away, put it in your pocket, and then try to do the entire story again out loud as you would perform it, and go from all the way to the end. Now, you're not going to remember all of it. Of course you're not. But still push through to the very end and do as much as you can. When you're finished, take out the story, continue pacing or walking, that can help, but read the story again, and as you do that, your mind will register some of the things that you missed. Go all the way to the end, don't cheat, and then when you're finished, start the whole process again, put the book or the paper away, and try again. Now, as you do this, I promise you will begin to remember these stories pretty fast. And you'll remember them going throughout your daily life. And that's where the real power is, when you're reflecting on the story. So I hope this gives you a good start when doing these yellow stories. Next time we'll talk about a different topic, but we'll still continue to go through the stories. Thank you, and go give it a try.